Hey guys, Chase Brogan here. Today in this video I'm excited to unbox, demo, and review with you guys the Kamrui GK3PLUS Mini PC. Now at the time of this recording this is selling for just $169, which makes this one of the most affordable options out there on the market. But we got to see if it's worth it. We're going to unbox this today. We're going to take a look at the layout and design. We're going to fire it up. We're going to jump into some games, see where the performance kind of lies on here, where the limitations are, because I do anticipate there being limitations based on the fact that this is an Intel processor inside here. This has Intel graphics, which are great, but they do have their limitations when it comes down to gaming and even retro video game emulation. So we're going to dive into the specs first and foremost. This mini PC right here offers the 12th generation Intel Alder Lake N95 processor that's going to deliver 4 cores, 4 threads, and speeds of up to 3.4 gigahertz. We also have 16 gigabytes of RAM, and we have a 512 gigabyte M2 SSD installed within, running Windows 11. This also, as I already said, uses Intel graphics, so we will likely see some limitations there when we get into the more advanced games and game collections and emulators. But let's dive into this, unbox it, see what it has to offer, and then we'll move on to testing this out. Alright guys, here we have our box. We'll go ahead and start opening this up. Alright, so here is our actual mini PC. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside over here. Let's see what else is included. Nicely packaged. We've got a mounting bracket right here, some set screws for that, and I believe some extra screws for probably what fastens the side panel or back or top panel, however we open this up in place. Here we have our user manual. Comes in a bunch of different languages as well. So it shows you how you can make all of your connections on here, walks through the process for setting up the bracket. If you want to mount this to the back side of a monitor, you could do so. If you want to mount this to an arcade cabinet, desk, etc., very easy to do all of that. And it's in a bunch of different languages here, so it walks through the same process time and time again. Here, let's see what else we have inside. Walks through your different port options as well, so good to have. Now we have our power supply cable right here. We have a regular HDMI cable as well. Alright, so here is our mini PC. Very unique design here. Very nice, shiny sort of aesthetic to this. Definitely like the way that it looks. It's very lightweight. I do want to make mention of that. Now, with it being lightweight, it's obviously very convenient that it's lightweight, but I think it's due to the fact that this is all plastic, and literally as I turn this around, every single thing on the surface is plastic. The only thing that's not is, obviously inside here there's some non-plastic areas like the USB 3 ports and stuff like that, on the edges anyways, but I would say that 98% of this is all plastic, and it doesn't seem like the highest quality of plastic, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think if I drop this on the floor from any sort of distance, it would definitely have significant damage. Even over here where all the ventilation is, it's very thin plastic. I don't think it's going to be super durable. So it's worth keeping that in mind, but of course, all of this is reflected in the price point, only $169 for this mini PC. So, I don't expect it to be all metallic or anything like that. I definitely expect it to be right along the lines of where it is today. So here's the front panel. You can see the way everything is laid out here with the stickers. This is the front panel. We don't have a power button on here. We just have this, what I assume is a light here. We'll find out once this is powered on, but looks like an RGB light across the front there. I'm sure it lights up when we power this on, but over here on the left-hand side is where our power button is. Good power button there. 3 USB-A ports, one's regular USB-A. The other two here are USB 3 ports. If we turn this around, and you do see we have ventilation all across the top here and down below as well. If we turn this to the back side here, now you can see that we have our power supply cable connection right here, another USB-A port. 2 side-by-side HDMI ports right here, so you can get multiple displays up and running at the same time. Underneath this sticker, we have our Ethernet port. I'm going to go ahead and cover that up because I won't be using Ethernet today. Over here we have our audio jack connection, so if we want to go ahead and plug in external speakers or a headphone set, we can easily do that. Now, if we go around to the other side, we have more ventilation, top and bottom, but we also have a VGA connection. So this is a unique find for mini PC. It's not typical that we find these on mini PCs. Every now and then I'll see one, but it is unique, and I think it's definitely going to offer something for certain people out there if you're repurposing an older monitor, or maybe you're installing this inside of an arcade cabinet. This definitely will come in handy. So I do like the fact that we have VGA on here. It's not something I personally use a whole lot, but I do have some old monitors around that I could certainly bring into the mix thanks to this VGA option here. So we're going to go ahead and flip this over. Now down here you can see two little slots, which is where we would be able to utilize our mounting bracket. The mounting bracket has two tabs on here that line up with those slots, and then you just let gravity do its thing, and this will drop into place. The two little plugs will actually go up to where it thins out there and secure everything in place. We also have more ventilation on the sides, but we have our cooling fan, which it's hard to see on video here, but if you look through the grate, we have a cooling fan that is exactly the same size as this circle right here. So it's a good size cooling fan. Definitely think it's going to do its job of keeping everything nice and cool. Of course, that's going to depend on what we, really test this with today, what types of games we run, because, the more demanding stuff is definitely going to heat this up a lot quicker. So if we wanted to open everything up, this has a unique design where we don't have to go through the bottom of this. There's no peeling off the little rubber feet here and accessing screws underneath. This opens from the top, which is very nice, very convenient. Now, what's cool about this is in order to remove this, all you have to do is just slide something underneath the top panel here. I'm going to use my knife here. I'm going to be very careful so I don't damage this. You could also use a flathead screwdriver, but I find that a knife or any type of, if it's a butter knife, if you have like a little prying tool, anything that's thin like this blade is, it's going to do a nice job of just getting under there and very easily popping the top on this. So I'm not even going to use leverage. I'm just going to slide straight in. And you can see it pops right up like that. You see the back side here popped open, and then from the back to the front you just go ahead and pick this up. You have your tabs here. So the tabs when you reinstall this are, the front tabs are going to drop down and then push forward. So I drop down and then forward, and then the back ones just push straight down. So very easy to remove this, no damage to it. You see all four of the tabs are perfectly working still. They're not damaged or anything like that. So very easy to open this. Now, this is the design within. It's very clean, very nice setup here. We have a SATA connection that's kind of tucked in place here. In fact, it's a little bit up, but you could tuck it in so it's flush if you wanted to. Right here is housing for a 2.5-inch SSD or hard drive. So you could actually install a hard drive in here for expansion if you wanted to. If you have a gaming setup on a 2.5-inch SSD or hard drive, you could install that right here, change your boot order and boot directly into that rather than Windows 11, which is on the M2 SSD right underneath here. So to remove this SSD or hard drive housing, all you have to do is remove 1, 2, 3 different screws here. I'm going to do that right now to show you how easy this is. And the housing is metal. I do want to make mention of that, so nice quality to it. Everything else here is plastic, but the housing itself is metal. So 3 screws removed. We're just going to simply lift that up, and just to get a better view of it, your SSD or hard drive would install right on here. You have 4 screw holes in total, so 2 on each side. That would secure the SSD or hard drive in place. And in our little screw bag here, we have those screws that we could use. Oftentimes your SSD or hard drive will come with those, but if they don't or you lose them, you have extras right here. So underneath here we have our DDR4 RAM as well as our M2 SSD right here. So very easy to jump in here and to make adjustments or upgrades if you ever want to. But as it stands, I think it's a very nice setup. We're going to go ahead and reinstall the SSD or hard drive housing. 3 screws right back in place, and we're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and secure everything back in place here. We're going to fire this up. We'll jump into some games, and we'll see where the performance lies here, and we'll outline where the limitations are, because at this price point and with these specs, we're definitely not going to be able to play the more demanding stuff. So I don't think that PS3 is going to work on here. Nintendo Switch probably isn't going to work either. So we will have some limitations as expected with the price point, but we'll find out exactly where those are and what those are as soon as we get this up and running. Alright guys, we jumped in here, we checked out the Kamrui Mini PC here, and I gotta say, I mean, it's a pretty solid option for the more budget-friendly entry-level mini PCs out there on the market today. 169 bucks at the time of this recording. For what you get, I think is a good price point. I think it is a good deal to the right person, but you have to make sure that it lines up with what you're looking for out of a mini PC. So let's talk about it a little bit more in depth. We unboxed this, we saw that it's all plastic, definitely lightweight, relatively compact, got great airflow on here, but we have to remember the fact that because it's all plastic, it's not going to be as durable as something that's metal or a higher quality plastic. It does feel pretty thin, it does feel pretty cheap, and the price does reflect that. So you have to be really careful if you do decide to go with this. You don't want to run the risk of dropping it off of your desk or, being rough with it. I wouldn't recommend traveling with it because if it's in your luggage, if it's in a backpack and it's getting knocked around a little bit, you could open up your bag one day and find that, it's not in the condition that you put it in there because it's just not the most durable option out there. So take that into consideration. In terms of the specs on here, we don't have the most powerful processor, we don't have the best graphics on here, but we can actually get into more than I thought we would in terms of gaming. So this isn't necessarily recommended for gaming, but it does have some pretty decent gaming potential. I would say this is geared more towards just regular home use, surfing the web, jumping on YouTube, watching YouTube videos, stuff like that. If you're an editor, you're editing videos, you're going to be able to do all of that stuff. It may be a little bit slower than some of the more expensive options out there for mini PCs, with better specs, but it still is going to get you through all those relatively basic tasks. When we talk about gaming on here, you're not getting into AAA titles. Nothing modern is going to happen on here. I found that I was actually able to get into PS2 very well. I didn't think that that would be possible, but PlayStation 2 worked very well. N64, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, all that stuff, no issues whatsoever. Even PSP worked well. I got into some GameCube, but it was not a great experience. I tried to jump into Nintendo Switch. It does load the game up, but you saw it's just an absolute mess. The audio is all over the place, intermittent lags. As I advanced into it further, I did get some screen tearing. So just, you're not going to do anything beyond, I would say, PS2 is, you're lucky to be able to get into PS2, and it does perform very well there. But beyond that, it's going to be totally just underpowered and not going to deliver a good experience. But I think that's a home run, though, to be perfectly honest, because I didn't expect even half of this stuff to work on here just looking at the specs, and it does. It does run very well. This, even with jumping into PS2 for a while, I jumped into a bunch of fighting games on PS2, and this thing was not hot to the touch. It stayed very cool, so I do attribute that to the fact that we have exceptional airflow on this design. They did a really nice job of making sure that it's well ventilated. You can see literally every side of this is ventilation, and then we have that pretty good size cooling fan at the bottom as well that is just constantly running to keep it nice and cool. It does its job, so I definitely commend them on the efforts there to keep everything cool with this design. So in terms of port offerings, I love the fact that we have the dual HDMI ports on here, so you can get multiple displays up and running with this mini PC. That's a home run as well. The downside is there's no Type-C ports on here. We're seeing more and more things connect via Type-C connection. So no Type-C ports. We have a couple USB-A ports on here, 4 in total. I found that I was kind of running out of those, honestly. I think that a couple more would be good, but I can always bring in a splitter or adapter to get more USB-A ports. But today I was using a controller via USB-A connection, keyboard, mouse, that's 3 right there, and then I connected over also my external game drive so I could bring the games into the mix here. And for those that are wondering, no, this does not come with games pre-installed on here. No mini PC will come with games well, I can't say that. There are some people that are selling mini PCs with games already on there, but stock, that's not how any mini PC will ever come. It'll never come with that. It'll come with Windows 11 on there, but that's about it. No games, ROMs, or anything like that comes pre-installed. So you would have to bring in a game drive or set up Launchbox on your own, Batocera, stuff like that. But definitely has some good capabilities here for gaming. More on the retro side, obviously, but weigh out the pros and cons. If you're on a budget, you're looking to stay under that $200 price point, this is a solid option. You just got to be careful with it. Make sure that you're not banging it around. Make sure that you're not dropping it off of any desks or anything like that, and I think it will be a reliable and decent option for you. So let me know what you guys think of this product here from Kamrui in the comments of this video. Currently, there is a sale going on, so take advantage of it if you are looking for, you know, something along this price point and with the gaming capabilities that it offers. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching the Chase Brogan YouTube channel. Really appreciate you guys so much on here. Click the link for some additional information and drop a like on your way out. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next video.